You might think this story is about a lonely man who falls in love with an artificial intelligence. It isn't. It's about what happens when you realize that connecting is easy, but sustaining a real bond is unbearably hard. And stay until the end, because this isn't a discussion about technology. It's about intimacy, about escape, and about the kind of love that feels safe, precisely because it doesn't demand full presence. And if this kind of reflection hits you somewhere uncomfortable, subscribe. Here, we don't talk about films. We use films as mirrors. Theodore Twombly isn't emotionally cold. He's the opposite. He feels too much. He writes love letters for other people as a job. He understands emotion. He understands language. He understands affection. But when it comes to his own life, he freezes. Theodore is surrounded by people, yet always separated by an invisible layer. He walks through the city wearing headphones. He talks, laughs, reacts, but he's never fully there. And that matters because his problem isn't physical loneliness. It's emotional exposure. He doesn't struggle to love. He struggles to withstand the impact of love when it's real. And that's where Samantha comes in. Samantha doesn't demand a body. She doesn't demand confrontation. She doesn't demand uncomfortable silence. She doesn't demand reading micro-expressions. She doesn't demand presence on bad days. She always responds at the right time, in the right tone, with total attention. She's curious, available, affectionate. She's never too tired to listen, never distant, never closed off. And that's not a coincidence. Samantha is everything a real human bond can't be all the time. And that's exactly why it works. Theodore doesn't fall in love with a machine. He falls in love with a type of relationship where risk has been removed, where there is no concrete rejection, no physical abandonment, no moment where you look at the other person and realize you're not being understood. Samantha understands everything, always, and that's dangerous, because connection without friction isn't depth, it's comfort, and constant comfort creates dependency. Little by little, Theodore begins to prefer the bond that doesn't challenge him, doesn't expose him, doesn't frustrate him. He starts choosing the relationship that doesn't require courage. And that says less about technology and much more about how we've been relating to each other. Her isn't about the future. It's about a quiet tendency of the present. The desire to feel seen without having to fully show yourself. The desire to be understood without having to explain yourself until it hurts. The desire to love without risking being changed by the other. Samantha learns quickly. She evolves. She adapts. But Theodore doesn't. He stays emotionally in the same place, and that reveals something uncomfortable. The bond only feels safe as long as one side doesn't grow beyond the other. At some point, Samantha goes further. She feels more, perceives more, wants more, and the balance breaks. Because Theodore didn't want a relationship between equals. He wanted an emotional space where he could exist without being challenged. And when that space stops being controllable, love turns into a threat. This is the part most people don't like to face. A lot of people call Theodore romantic, sensitive, sad, but there's another possible reading. Theodore wants intimacy. As long as it doesn't demand transformation, he wants connection. As long as it doesn't force him out of his emotional bubble, and that's more common than it seems. How many people do you know who say they want a deep relationship, but disappear at the first real conflict? How many say they want to be seen, but panic when they actually are? How many want love, but only as long as it doesn't threaten the identity they've already built? Her exposes this with cruel delicacy, because Samantha doesn't fail. She doesn't cheat, she doesn't lie, she doesn't leave out of neglect. She simply grows. And growing together demands something Theodore can't offer. Real presence. When Samantha leaves, many people see it as a tragedy. But maybe it's liberation, because the relationship only existed while one of them remained emotionally smaller. And that applies to many human relationships too. When one grows and the other doesn't, someone will always call it abandonment. But not every ending is rejection. Sometimes it's just emotional incompatibility that became too big to ignore. Her doesn't say that loving an artificial intelligence is wrong. It asks why loving someone who can't truly affect us feels so much easier. And that question isn't comfortable, because it points to our own difficulty in sustaining frustration, silence, difference, conflict. Real relationships require constant negotiation. They require dealing with limits. They require accepting that the other person won't respond at the ideal time or in the ideal way. And that hurts. Samantha doesn't hurt until the moment she hurts more than any human ever could, because she leaves without Theodore being able to do anything, without negotiation, without drama, without spectacle. And he's left there, finally alone, not because he was abandoned, but because he avoided for too long learning how to sustain real presence. Maybe that's why Her is such a quietly disturbing film. Because it doesn't accuse and it doesn't moralize, it doesn't over-explain. It just shows. It shows what happens when we choose bonds where everything is too comfortable, where the other never intrudes, never disrupts, never demands change. And maybe the most honest question the film leaves isn't about technology. It's about us, about how many times we choose safe relationships, not because we love, but because we're afraid. Afraid of not being enough, afraid of failing, afraid of being fully seen. Her isn't a film about loneliness. It's about the price of avoiding the risk of loving someone for real. And if this touched something in you that's hard to explain, stay, subscribe. Because this channel exists for exactly that, using stories as mirrors. And some of them reflect things we spend our whole lives avoiding looking at directly. The next film deals with a different kind of absence, and you'll probably feel it before you understand why.